Yeah. Hundreds on me stuff, I'ma run it up. She gon' give it up. I'm like, what is love? Remember I was broke, ain't nobody give a fuck. Hater understand, now they love us cause we are. Hundreds on me stuff.
Okay, welcome back to another video. So today I'm doing an album review of King Von, Welcome to O-Block. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while, pretty much since I first started listening to King Von, and then someone suggested, yeah, do an album review. I thought that'd be a good idea. And yeah, here I am doing an album review. So the way it's going to work, I'm not going to be able to play the songs because recently King Von, his album, his record label has been slapping with copyright strikes, and I think a couple of the videos actually just got completely blocked. I did a reaction to Armed and Dangerous, and yeah, that just got completely taken off YouTube, blocked worldwide. But yeah, I thought this would be a good way to do some King Von content without getting completely blocked off YouTube. But yeah, the way it's going to work is I'm going to go through each song, I'm going to give it a rating out of 10, just give my thoughts on it, and then at the end I'm going to say my favourite and my least favourite song and give the whole album as a whole album like a rating out of 10. I have to say I really enjoyed this album. Like the tracks I've been listening to so far, I've listened to at least 3 or 4 tracks that are already on here, and I've done reactions to those previously, so when I talk about them, what I'll try and do is put a card in whichever corner it is, and if you want to go and listen to my reaction, because the tracks that I've already done a reaction to, I'm not going to speak extensively about because I've already got a whole video on them. So if you do want to go and check out the reaction, there'll be a card in one of the corners that you can go and click on and watch my reaction to that specific song. But yeah, I have to say, the impressions that I got from King Von on the tracks that I've reacted to, like he went up so much in my ratings this album. I feel like he showed way more versatility. He's got lots of different styles that didn't come across in the reactions that I've listened to already. And from what I understand, it came out like a week before he died as well, which is just, it's so sad. It's so sad. Like, I hate it when I find, like, I've done this several times now in this whole reacting to American Drill thing. I've found an artist that I really like, and then like I see in the comments, oh yeah, R.I.P. and it's like, they're fucking dead. Like, there's so many artists like this who are like so talented, they have so much potential, and then they just, yeah, they get involved in some shit and it goes bad. But without further ado, let's get straight into the album, and the first track is Armed and Dangerous. Now, I have already done a reaction to this, but it got completely blocked, so I'm sorry about that, but I did react to it, and hopefully people who are watching this have seen that already, because I'm not going to talk about it loads, just because I have already kind of done that. But yeah, it's a banger of a track. It's quite short, but the flow on it's just fast. I love King Von when he's rapping fast. Like, I feel like that's the flow that suits him best, and it's just like, it's got that fuck you energy. And I feel like it's a great track to open the album with as well. It kind of just like introduces you to King Von, it's the energy, it's a good opener. And then when I actually went back and looked at, so I've been doing this with some of them because often I can't tell what King Von's saying, and sometimes I need to listen to it twice to fully like understand the lyrics, or sometimes I just have to look up the lyrics because I just don't have a clue. And when you looked up the lyrics to Armed and Dangerous, I felt like there's more in the lyrics than you get from a first listen, so like you listen to it a few more times and it's a lot better because like, there's a bit more meaning to the lyrics, it's a bit deeper. And yeah, I think it gets better the more you listen to it. That track's a banger, and that gets an 8 out of 10. Then the next song was GTA, and I didn't really like this one. I felt like it was a bit of an album filler, and it kind of got me worried for the rest of the album, because I listened to this and I was like, I hope the rest of the album isn't like this. I'm going to keep looking at my phone because I have my notes about the songs on here. Yeah, what I noted down was I don't like the hook or his voice. Yeah, I think his voice on the hook was a bit weird. I don't know what it was. It sounded like a bit deep, and yeah, I wasn't a fan of his voice on that hook. I thought the verses were alright, but yeah, the hook kind of ruined it for me, and I felt like that was just a bit of an album filler. It's fair enough. You're not gonna like every track on an album. So yeah, GTA gets a 5 out of 10 for me. That wasn't my favourite. The next track though was an absolute banger, and that is Demon. That gets a 9 out of 10 for me. This was, yeah, I feel like that was the first like, okay, King Von can do this as well. It's like he changed up his style, and I never heard King Von on a style like this. There was a little bit on Wayne's Story. I remember saying this in the reaction to Wayne's Story. It was like he did a little bit of a melodic flow, and I was like, oh, I feel like he could be good on this kind of like melodic drill. And then I listened to his album. He's got several songs on there like that, and they all banged. So yeah, I really like him on this kind of style. I feel like it suits him really, really well. Possibly even better than actually just rapping. I really like his voice. Like, I feel like so many rappers who do like the auto-tune melodic rap, they all sound the same, and it's all like the auto-tune is all like, it sounds exactly the same. You can't differentiate them. But I feel like King Von has such a distinct voice already that you can still kind of tell it's him, and he's got a kind of unique style to his voice, even with the auto-tune on. This one kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting rap like this on here. I wasn't expecting like melodic stuff, but it was really good. The hook's a banger, and it went straight on my playlist. I listened to it once, straight on my playlist. And again, with mine too, this was a bit more of a melodic one. The hook, again, bangs. There's so many good hooks on this track. I was listening to all the tracks, making my notes, and then I had an online lesson afterwards, and there was just so many tracks just like going around in my head. It wasn't good. The flow on mine too, oh, it's incredible. It's incredible. Some of the flows on this album were insane, but I think this had probably one of the best flows on the whole album. And again, it's that kind of melodic style that I wasn't expecting, and I got two songs in a row, and yeah, they both banged. So I'm gonna give that one an 8 out of 10. Now the next one is The Code with Polo G. Again, I have already done a reaction to this. I'll put that in one of the corners if I remember. Hopefully I do. If not, then it'll just be on my channel. You can go and find it. Again, I've already reacted to this, but Polo G's verse, I felt like it got better and better the more I listened to it. I listened to the album like two times through, but I've already listened to The Code once. So I listened to Polo G's verse 3 times, and by then it is one of those verses. I feel like I do this quite a lot, where I go, it's decent, and then I listen to it a second time, it's like, oh, that's good, and then the third time it's like, yeah, I really fuck with this. So yeah, that verse grew on me. Polo G's verse was incredible. It's like back on the drill energy after like two melodic songs, and it kind of like back like the aggressive drill energy. So yeah, The Code from me is getting an 8 out of 10. And then obviously that track is talking about someone who didn't snitch. The whole hook is like, yeah, he didn't tell. And then the next one is what he told. So I don't know if it's referring to the same person in these two tracks, but it's an interesting thing from like a song that's like, yeah, he didn't tell, and then the next song on the album is he told. But yeah, this track, it wasn't incredible musically, but it was telling a story, and I always appreciate that on an album. I feel like you need some songs that are a bit more in depth, and they're not just like radio tunes, and not just for the music, it's almost for the lyrics as well. And it seemed a lot more personal as well. It seemed like this was something that actually happened to King Von, as opposed to some of the crazy stories, the Wayne stories, where it's like, they might be based on a bit of real life experience, but some of the parts are also probably made up. This felt like it was personal. It felt like it actually happened. Obviously, some super fans of King Von will probably be able to tell me if it did actually happen or not. I don't know, but it felt more personal to him. It felt like it was something that really affected him. And yeah, it was about just like betrayal from a friend who snitched on him. But yeah, it was in depth. It was great, and it had some meaning. So Why He Told is going to get a 6 out of 10. Now the next track, I saw this and I thought this is probably going to be a banger. And then I heard the beat start, and it was like Tay Keith's little intro thing. So I thought, okay, we've got Tay Keef, we've got Lil Durk, we've got King Von, and then what was the other guy's name? But the other guy's name on this track I'd heard of. I think people have commented that I should react to him, so I was like, okay, yeah, I've heard of this guy as well, so maybe this is going to be a big lineup, and it is a pretty big lineup, you know, like Tay Keith on the beat as well. The beat was very, very good. It was a classic Tay Keith beat, but I didn't like the track. I don't know what it was, but I just didn't like it. I don't like the hook as well. The hook wasn't for me. And I felt like the flow didn't work with the beat. It was something about it. It could just be my personal opinion, but there's something about that track that just didn't work with me. It just didn't gel together into like a whole piece of music. It felt like a beat and a flow that were like kind of separate. Yeah, it was alright, but yeah, not for me. It's going to get a 6 out of 10. Yeah, so the next one was Gleesh Place. Again, I felt like this was a bit of an album filler. It was only a minute and a half long, so I wasn't expecting anything incredible on a track like that. You kind of see that, anything. It's a bit of an interlude, a bit of an album filler. And yeah, I didn't really like the beat. It was just kind of like an average track. It wasn't something you put on your playlist. So Gleesh Place is only going to get a 5 out of 10 from me. Now the next one was another Lil Durk feature on All These M Words, and the beat on this is incredible. They work so well together. I feel like Lil Durk and King Von, obviously being such good friends, you're gonna have that kind of chemistry as well, but I feel like their styles just go well together so well. Yeah, the flows were incredible on this. They were kind of going back to back at a point as well. They kind of did like a verse and then a verse and then a hook. And I just want to say, whoever Tucker is, the disrespect that guy gets, it's mad. I've heard King Von mention him in like 2 or 3 songs now. I think I've heard him in another track as well. Yeah, it's a bit mad. I think the line in this track was, I can still feel him in my lungs because he got smoked. Yeah, it's all a bit mad. So that track got a 7 out of 10 from me. Okay, moving on to the next track, Can't Relate. I really liked the hook on this, and yeah, as I said, I feel like there's lots of good hooks on this album. This was another very good hook. He had like it was like, you can't relate, but in like a really deep like voice. He'd done something to his voice there. I think I was a bit like, that sounds a bit weird at first, but then it grew on me, and yeah, I actually really like it. Yeah, he was just kind of telling the story of like the craziness of his life, and just like, you can't relate. And what was I think it's DJ on the beat, so it's a banger. It's like, he's produced lots of these tracks. I think that like intro, the like producer intro, was on lots of the tracks. And again, this was produced by him, I think, and it had like these like sci-fi sounds, which sounded really, really good actually. I was like, yeah, you don't usually hear that. It sounded like the stuff that you get in sci-fi movies where it's like the weird like, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it sounded really good on this. I don't know why. I would never expect to hear that on a beat and for it to sound good, but it did. But one thing I would say about Can't Relate is the second verse just wasn't for me. I felt like the flow was a bit, I can't tell what it was, but the second verse wasn't for me. But it was quite a short verse, so it didn't change my opinion on the song as a whole, but yeah, the second verse just didn't work for me. So Can't Relate is going to get a 7 out of 10 from me. The next one is Mad at You. Again, a bit of a kind of like style change up, but not really style change, like topic change up from King Von. He's talking about relationships, and I've never really heard King Von do that. It's more like drill and like, yeah, I shot you, I murdered you, got put in a spliff, all of that. But yeah, this one was a bit of a change up, and Dreezy was the feature as well, and she banged as well. That was such a sick verse from her. I felt like that track needed a female voice on it almost, because he's like talking to a female in his verse, and then she's talking to a male in the verse, so it's like they're kind of having a conversation on the track. But yeah, they're kind of both addressing their partner and talking to them about the issues they have with them, and it's a lot more kind of like slow, mellow beat, and it's a bit more of an emotional one. Again, I feel like you can tell it's more personal to Von, and it's like, yeah, he's got more personal tracks on this album, which you would expect from an album. You kind of like, you put your heart and soul into it, and he's definitely got some more personal tracks. But once again, the hook on this, incredible. Yeah, the hooks on this whole album have been insane. So yeah, Mad at You is going to get an 8 out of 10. Now, the next track is Ain't See It Coming. This is kind of talking about his come up and like how he didn't expect it. It's all a bit like out of the blue. The beat on this is probably one of my favourite beats on the whole album, and Moneybag, the feature as well, had a very, very good verse. But that track wasn't anything that blew me away. It wasn't anything insane, so it's only going to get 7 out of 10. Now, the next one I have already done a reaction to, but it's not a reaction to just this song. I think it's an American Drill Part 2. It's either part 2 or 3, and it's I Am What I Am with Fabio Foreign. Now, I said this in the video I reacted to it, I don't like Fabio Foreign on this. I've listened to a couple more songs of him since then, and I've changed my opinion on him, because that was the first time I actually heard him. But yeah, on this track, I don't like him. His voice just sounds like he's straining so much. As I said this all in the reaction, so you can go and watch that if you are interested, but yeah, his verse isn't for me, but the rest of it is still sick. King Von's verse is good, the hook's great, and I feel like if there'd been a different feature on it, it would have been so good. Or if Fabio Foreign had just done his normal style, or the style that I've heard from him so far. Like when I've listened to him on like Big Drip or Trust, that's so much better than what he's done on this track. I don't know what it is, but he sounds like he's shouting and being like so strained. And I feel like Big Drip was a bit more relaxed. Same with Trust, it was a bit chill, and he wasn't straining so much. I felt like he sounded so much better on that, and if he'd had that voice on this, I felt like it would have improved the track so much. But again, I said all of this on the reaction, and I talked about the song a bit more in depth on there, so you can go and check that out if you want to see. So yeah, I Am What I Am is only going to get a 7 out of 10. Now the next track is Ride. Again, it was a bit more of like a laid back, emotional one. It wasn't so much drill, like I'm gonna kill you. It was more like him just talking from the heart. And I have to say, on this track, his voice sounds so good. Like, I didn't expect King Von to have a good voice, and he's not an amazing singer, but his voice isn't bad. Like, you can tell when auto-tune rappers have a bad voice, and King Von is able to maintain a note, and he is able to do it, but he also has that kind of unique voice, which just works even more on auto-tune. So I'm going to give that one an 8 out of 10. And now the next track is probably my favourite on the album. I'm going to have to decide this before I make my actual decision on what's going to be my favourite track. But this one, How It Go, it was a banger. It's him kind of like talking to himself and reflecting on his past and his time in jail and like experiences in life, but mainly like experiences in jail. The hook is amazing, the verses are amazing, and I feel like you actually listen to it a bit more and you kind of absorb the lyrics, and the lyrics are actually good as well. It's not just like a good flow and good melody, it's like got some content in it as well. So yeah, that was one of my favourite tracks on the whole album. And then the last one is another one that I've already done a reaction to, and that's Wayne's Story. Again, this banged. Listen, this sounded even better when you listen to it a second time. I do really hope there's a part 2 to this though, because obviously it said part 2 coming soon at the end of the video, but I guess it's like, we don't know whether that's going to happen. Hopefully he recorded a part 2 before he died, and we'll get to hear that. But that was the last song on the album, and that brings the whole album to a close. And yeah, it was amazing. That whole album, King Von went up in my estimations. I felt like you could see his versatility more, his capability to do kind of melodic rap, his capability to be a bit more emotional and a bit more sensitive, and him going on styles that I wouldn't expect him to go on from what I've heard of him already. And I think really there were only 2 or 3 tracks out of, I think it's 16 tracks there is in the album. So there's only 2 or 3 that I didn't like. Apart from that, I actually liked every single track, which is pretty good, to be honest. To like, 13 tracks out of 16, I think that's a sign of a very good album. But the one criticism I guess you could say is I didn't give any song a 10 out of 10. No song really like blew me away, and I feel like to be a top level album, you have to have a track that like really is like incredible, and for me there wasn't a track on there that was like insane. There was 2 very, very good tracks on there, but nothing like incredible. But before I give my final ranking out of 10 for the album, I will tell you my favourite and my least favourite song. I did actually decide that my favourite track was How It Go, and I felt like it just has a bit more meaning than Demon. It was those 2 basically. It was between How It Go and Demon. They were my 2 favourite. They're both that melodic track as well. There's like him singing, and I feel like that actually works so well with him. It's like him singing the hook and then rapping the verses. It works so well. But I felt like How It Go had a bit more content to it. It's talking about something a bit more meaningful. Where Demon was good as well. It had very good lyrics, but yeah, How It Go was just beat it to the top spot. And my least favourite track, I feel like it's a bit of a cop-out because it seems like an obvious album filler, and that's Gleesh Place, only a minute and a half long. Beat, I really didn't like the beat on that, so that's kind of what I'm basing it off. But yeah, that track was probably the worst on the album. But now, for the long-awaited moment, my final ranking of the album, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Now, I looked through all my rankings of the songs, and that kind of seemed like a fair score in general for like what I gave the majority of the songs. There's like a mix of 8s, 7s, 9s and 6s. So 8 just makes sense. But also, I feel like even if you had an album that had like consistent 8s, that still doesn't mean it's a good album, because they all have to come together to make a good piece of artwork. Like if he had 16 tracks that all sounded like Armed and Dangerous, it wouldn't be a good album, even though Armed and Dangerous is a 6 song. You need the kind of variety of styles in an album, you need the versatility, you need to have a mixture of like, especially for a drill artist like King Von, you need the mixture of like energy, the fuck you, like the proper like pure drill, but also I feel like you need a bit more introspective, a bit more emotional, something that's got a bit more meaning behind it, and he did have that. But yeah, I think 8 out of 10 is a pretty fair score for this album. I really, really liked it, and yeah, I really, really hope that he's got more music and he's going to drop another album soon, because I want more. I want to listen to more music. I'm definitely going to be doing more reactions to like singles from King Von. Grandson for President, 2 and 3 AM are on the list, and they will be coming eventually. Hopefully they don't get blocked, because King Von's record label has been a bit strict recently on my channel. But yeah, I will definitely be doing those soon. If you have enjoyed this video and you want to see more album reviews, I think Polo G is another one. People told me to review his album. Yeah, there'll be plenty of recommendations for album reviews, I'm sure. So yeah, if you did enjoy this kind of format and this kind of style of video, then let me know by liking the video and commenting that you enjoyed it. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.